Good evening, everyone. We'll start with this session now. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. I, Kushi Patel, PRO at RAIT-ACM, will be your host today. We welcome you all for the very first day of CodeJam 2022 and towards this exciting journey of app development. RAIT CodeJam is an initiative taken by RAIT-ACM Student Chapter. This year, we aim to teach app development using React Native to the participants and also guide them for their future projects while helping them to improve their technical skills and aptitude so that they will be ready for the future. This initiative was majorly supported by our principal, Mr. M.D. Patil sir, and our HOD, Dr. Ashish Jadhav sir. Also, this year, participants can apply their learnings by making apps, and at the end of the CodeJam, the winners will be declared based on that. CodeJam 2022 will be conducted every day from 6:30 p.m. onwards. We will be sharing useful resources and reference videos on CodeJam 2022 WhatsApp group. On the day one, that is today, we will be learning about the introduction, importance, and installation of React Native. I would like to welcome our speakers for the day, Mr. Dishan Javeri and Mr. Mukesh Fulwani. Mr. Mukesh Fulwani is a content creator at Coders Never Quit and system engineer at TCS Digital. Now, I would like to request Mr. Dishan Javeri and Mr. Mukesh Fulwani to start with the CodeJam session. Over to you, sir.
Good evening to all of you. So it's an honor to conduct this program, and I would also like to thank RAIT for calling me and giving me this opportunity. So we will start. We will start today with app development, the importance of app development in today's life. So I will be screening my. I will start screening my screen once more. Okay. So first, 2021 has seen dramatic shift to online shipping and shopping. Increased reliance on the digital world pushes businesses to turn mobile apps for a higher customer base. So now app development here becomes very important. So now we have two platforms mainly in app development, iOS and Android. The languages and the interfaces which support Android are Java, Kotlin, C++, and Basic. And for the iOS, they are Swift, Objective-C, React Native, and Flutter. The advantage of React Native comes here, where we can create multi-platform apps. Like we can create apps which will work in iOS as well as Android, which is not in the case of Java and Kotlin. So I will explain you the entire app development process, how it takes. Initially, there's research. You have to gather the information and the topic of the problem statement of the app. Then you have to create a prototype for the stakeholders to look into your app and tell you if you are going in the correct direction or not. Then comes the design. You have to try multiple designs. Then comes the development, the main development processes, like you have to work on your code and everything. Then after your app is ready, then you have to test it by users and take their valuable feedback. And then you have to launch that app on the app store, which is a long process, but it's very easy. So there are two fields in mobile app development: the front end and the back end. In the front end comes the UI and UX, and in the back end comes the cloud services, database connectivity, and everything. So let us start with React Native, which is very important in today's life. So I will be introducing React Native, and then I will be telling you why to use React Native and not other languages. Then I will be telling you who uses, like which big companies and big companies use React Native in today's life. Then I will tell you the pros of React Native and the uniqueness of React Native. So now, what is React Native? So React Native is a framework which was developed by Facebook. We all know Facebook. So for creating apps which support in iOS as well as Android, and the best part of this is that it is developed in JavaScript. which is the most important programming language in today's life. Also, Facebook initially developed it only to support iOS, but now it can support Android too. However, uh, so so basically, green is small, huh. So I will tell you now why to use React Native. Like if we use Swift Objective C or Java, the whole app needs to be recompiled, and if there's a update or everything, you have to approach the app store and do everything again, which is not in the case of React Native. Now, who uses React Native? Now, many users use React Native, and the biggest example with us is Facebook. So basically, Facebook, Instagram, Walmart, we all know, which is the multinational hypermarket. Then Tesla, the electric vehicle company, Bloomberg, Baidu, and Skype. So these all use React Native. The pros of React Native. The pros of React Native are time efficiency. It's very fast to create a app because it uses the state approach, and the main idea of React is that it reacts very fast. The performance is also very nice, and the components are also ready made. Most of the packages are available, and it support many React.js libraries like Redux, Formic, AWS Amplify, etc. It helps you to create reliable apps and also target multiple OS, like with less code. Also, here you have to type less code in, and in the case of Java and Kotlin, the codes are very longer, so it saves time also. So now we will tell why React Native is unique. First of all, the framework is based on entire JavaScript, TypeScript, and also it supports Expo framework, which provides many useful components for creating a typical mobile application. So this is all for the part of introduction. I would like Mukesh sir to tell you the basics of JavaScript now.
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me here. Please confirm if I am audible.
Yeah, sir, you're
Am I
audible.
audible?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, okay. So first of all, before going into React Native and all that good stuff, as we all know that React Native uses React, and React itself is built on top of JavaScript. So first, we will learn first of all basics of JavaScript before getting into React Native. So I will explain some of the important topics of JavaScript which are heavily used in React and React Native. Those are the mandatory things that you should know about it. Okay. So I'll share my screen and let me know if it is visible. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
So my VS Code, can you see my VS Code?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So what I have done, so you guys know about the text editor, right? So VS Code is a popular text editor. So first of all, tell me, like, guys, do you know about JavaScript? Have you used JavaScript before?
No.
No, okay, no problem. So see, I want this session to be interactive. Don't make it like a tutorial kind of this thing. You can ask whatever doubt you have at any point of time. It could be a silly, or it could be any kind of. So yeah. So see, first of all, I am using here VS Code. It's basically a lightweight text editor. So if you do not have that VS Code in your system, you can Google VS Code and you can install it. So you can download it from here. But for now, you don't have to worry about, just sit back and relax and watch me doing the code. Okay. We will walk you through how you can set up this all in the end of this session. Okay. Yeah. So what I have done is, in this VS Code, I have first of all created a HTML file, and then I have referenced here this JavaScript using the script tag. The name of the file is app.js. So here I can basically write my JavaScript code. So let me run this with a live server. Open with live server. Okay, so I will not dive deep into JavaScript. I will just explain few of the concepts which are heavily used in React. Okay, so let me adjust my screen. First of all, what we will be learning is about functions. In world of React or React Native, first we have to understand everything about the functions, because in React or in React Native, we have components. So components are basically the building blocks of an application. Let me explain you with the diagram. See, your application can have multiple screen. Okay, maybe this can be let's say home screen. uh, this could be, let's say, about screen, or let's say profile screen. And maybe in your home screen you can have maybe a card, maybe, so this card will be a component. So we have components. These components are basically the building block of application, and these components are nothing, they are just functions. Okay, so first we have to understand everything about functions. They are super important. Okay, so you see how to create a function. We can use this function keyword. We can give function any name. Let's say do something and parentheses, and this is the body. Okay, and let's say we will return something from a function. So you guys know about the function, first of all. Do you have programming experience?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that everyone knows about what functions are in general terms. If anyone doesn't know, they can ask it. I will explain it what functions are. Okay, so let me continue. So let's say I'm returning something from this function. Let's say RAIT. Okay, so this function is a simple function which is just returning RAIT, and I can just uh, call this function, and whatever it is returning, I am printing it using console.log. Let's save this, and now on the console we should see RAIT is log. Okay, there's no problem with that, right? So far it's good. But what will happen, notice, okay, tell me what will happen. If what will happen, let's say if I control X and I will put this log here. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to call this function before it's initialized. Now tell me what will be the output. Okay, guess it. Okay, do a random guess. Maybe it can throw an error because we are trying to uh, call it before its initialization, or maybe it will log RAIT. These could be the options. Okay, tell me what will happen. So I want guys you to interact. So don't make this one way session. So yeah, you can make a random guess what will happen, what will be the output on the console if I try to run this. Okay, so let me run this and show you the output. So output will be, it's printing. We didn't get any error. Now, why is that a case? So technically we should get error because we are trying to call this function before it's initialized. Okay, so what happens is how JavaScript run this code. So JavaScript, what it does, it takes the function declaration and move it to the top. This concept we call it as hoisting. So we have this weird concept in JavaScript that we call it as hoisting. So this is the problem with this function. If we create a function this way, this is the problem. What is the problem? Hoisting. So technically we should get error because we are trying to call this function even before its initialization. So this should not happen. This is the one way of creating a function using this function keyword, giving it a name, parentheses, and this is the body. Again, simple code, nothing complicated so far. Okay. So how to solve this problem? So this is the one way of creating function. I'll now show you the another modern way. Yeah. So see, instead of writing function keyword, I will write here const, and name we can keep name same, do something, and here I will write equal to, and here I will use this arrow notation. So this we call it as arrow functions. So in modern JavaScript, we use these arrow functions heavily. So in React or React Native, you will be using these arrow functions to create your own components. Okay, so now let's save this, and now if you see that we are getting an error, cannot access do something before its initiation. Now this is fine. Now our code is working as expected. Okay, so if I now try to call this function after its initialization, now it will print the proper result. So is my screen like visible? Is it not lagging? Is it lagging because I am actually on my hotspot today? My Wi-Fi actually got stopped working. So
No, it's
sorry
not
for that.
lagging.
Huh? It's
No,
not
it's
lagging,
not
right?
lagging. No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. Thanks for confirming. Yeah. So so you guys have to help me now. Okay, so this is the function. Those who already know JavaScript, uh, is there any way I can reduce this line of code? So this is the 3 line of code we have written for the simple thing. Okay, can we reduce this line of code? You can put your answers maybe in chat, or you can speak. You can unmute yourself and you can speak. Can we reduce this 3 line to maybe a 1 line? Any guess? How can we do? Even if you are not, try to guess it, right? You don't have to be correct. Try to guess it. Dishant, would you like to hear Chowmin? How can we reduce?
Yes, we could directly print it in the console log, or we could directly print it in the console log.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, or we could do this way also. See, if we are returning just a single line statement, it could be a string or it could be a number. So what we could do is we could remove these brackets from here, and we could remove this return keyword. This is also a valid code. So what we just wrote right now and what was written before, they both are same. So if our function is returning a single line statement, then we could reduce the line of code to just 1 line. No return keyword, no function body, just this. Okay, if I try to save it, still we will get this RAIT in our console. Okay, so this was about function. Okay, I'll now try to make things little complicated. Okay, so first of all, we will understand about little bit about object. So what is object? Okay, so object is a data structure in JavaScript which stores the data in key value pair. Okay, so I'll create an object first. So this is the syntax for it. Use these brackets, and then here, let's say I'm giving a property, let's say name, and it could be, let's say, Ramesh, and let's say age and 20. This is basically a data structure which stores data in key value pair. So this is the key and this is the value. This is the key, this is the value. And if we want to access, let's say, this name property from this object, we could simply write obj.name to access it. Okay, so now what I'm trying to do here, see, what I want is, I want this function to return this object. Or you know what I will do is, first of all, I will write it in a longer way, and I will control X, and I will create this inside here, and I can return this object like so. And yeah, and let's save this, and now in the console we can see this object. So now what this function is doing, this is returning an object. So we created an object and this is returning an object, and we are just printing whatever this is returning. So or what we could do is, we could control X, or we could reduce line of code to just like this. we can directly return an object without initializing and declaring it. We can directly return this way also. Now what I want to do, see this. Now again, help me to reduce this line of code. How can I reduce this line of code? This is the 4 line of code, and again I want to reduce it. Guess it, how can I do it? See, I will show you. Suppose earlier what we did is we removed this return keyword, okay, and we removed these brackets, this body. But now this is giving us an error. So whenever we are returning an object from a function, we have to add here parentheses like this. And now we could write this whole thing in one line. This kind of syntax you will see in a lot of places in React and in React Native. So this syntax should be clear. Anyone has any question in the syntax? So I have breaked each and every line of code and then explained and then again formatted everything in a one line. Anyone has any doubt in this syntax? This is function, and what this is this strange parentheses and these brackets. What is happening here? Anyone has any question here? So this function is doing nothing. It's just returning this an object. So we have just reduced the line of code. Okay, so you will see this on many places. Let me give you an example. Okay. So let's say in upcoming videos, we will be adding navigation. Okay, for that there is a library called React Navigation. So you will see this syntax in many places. Here, can you see my screen? This is here. You can see. So you will see these kind of syntax in many places. So I want you guys to get this JavaScript basics clear first and before moving to React Native. That's the reason why I'm explaining these, some of the important topics of JavaScript. Okay. Yeah. So let's say now again I will, okay. Now I will explain you a little bit about destructuring. Okay. So let me write it in a longer way only. So let's say we will return something, but here let's say, okay. What I will do is when I call this function, I will pass an object now. From here, I will pass an object. Let's say I am passing name again, Ramesh, and let's say age 20, and yeah. And here I'm passing it. So I need a placeholder here so that I can receive whatever I'm passing. So let's say I can give it, let's say props, whatever name you can give it here. Let's say props. Now, basically, in props, we are receiving an object, right? So let's say from object, we want to access only name. So I can write props.name. Okay. And let's save this. And in the console, we should see the name is getting printed. Okay. I can concatenate in string as well. Let's say I am Amish. Okay, and see, so this is basically simple string concatenation. We can use this plus to concatenate it. Yeah. So this is one way. Okay. Now what we could do is, whenever we are having an object, so we can destructure some of the things that we want from it. Okay. See the syntax for it. Okay. So what we can do is we can write const, and we can use these brackets. We will destructure something from equal to from props, like so. Prop is basically an object. So what we want to destructure from it? So we want to destructure, let's say, name from it, and let's say age from it also. And now, once we do it, now again, we do not have to write everywhere props.name, props.age. So what we could do is we could directly write name here, and we could directly write age here. Reduce a line of code. Yes. So we were doing some repetitive stuff. Now we just destructure what we need, and now we can directly use them without props.name, props.age. So this is the syntax for destructuring. Again, now you see, we written 2 line. Again, we can reduce it. We could have destructured here itself only. Okay, we could destructure here itself. So instead of writing like this from props, I can destructure from here only. Name and age. So see, this kind of things you will see in quite a lot in React and React Native. So that's why I'm explaining this with example. Okay, so enough about the functions. Now let's talk about conditionals. Okay, so we use these conditionals in React and React Native to output something conditionally. So we have to understand it first. So let's say what I will do is I will create a variable, let's say age, and it will be, let's say 18. And I could here create another result, and let's say if age is greater than, let's say here we can write maybe 40. If age is greater than, let's say 18, then question mark, see the syntax. Okay, I'm explaining this a little bit about ternary operator. If age is greater than 18, then we will return, so whatever after question mark you write, we will return that. So let's say we will return adult. Okay, else if this condition becomes false, then we will return something that is, let's say maybe child. Okay, so this is, we call it as ternary. So we use this to output something conditionally. So what here it is age is 40. If age is greater than 18, then we are returning adult. So whatever we write after question mark, that will be returned if this condition becomes true. And if this condition becomes false, so whatever after the colon has we have written, that will get returned. Okay, so in this case 40 is greater than 18, so in adult will be returned and adult will be assigned in this result. And let's print this in the console to confirm this thing. Okay, let's save this, and you can see adult is getting logged. Okay, so this was about the condition. Now I'll tell you an interesting thing. Okay, so let's say I will write here instead of, this is a proper condition, but instead let's say I will write here, let's say username, and that will be, let's say Mukesh. Okay, yeah, let's say Ramesh. And what I'll write here is if Ramesh, see how to read this. Okay, if username exists, in that case we will return the username, else we will return, let's say maybe a user. What is this line of code? See, if you, how to read this, if username exists, then return it, else if this doesn't exist, then return user. So in our case this exists, so that's why in the console we should be able to see Ramesh. Okay, so what is this? We call this as, first thing is we can write here a condition, or second we can pass here a truthy or a falsy value. So this is a truthy value. So that's why this condition is becoming true and the username is getting returned. So what is truthy and falsy value? See, first we will talk about falsy values. FAL, falsy values. So falsy values, let's say if we have something, let's say if we have geo, this is a falsy value. If we have, let's say empty code, this is a falsy value. If we have, let's say null, or if we have, let's say undefined, or yeah, I guess that's yeah, that's it. So if we have these kind of values, we consider it as falsy values. So let's say if I here write empty string, so this is a falsy value, right? So this condition will become false and user will return. So this user will return in this result constant, and we are just logging it. Okay, let's save this, and now here we should see a user is getting logged. So apart from these, rest everything are truthy values. Okay, now this was about ternary. We will be using this heavily in React and React Native to conditionally output something. Now there is a little problem with this code. Now if you can see here, this username, we are repeating it 2 times. Can we reduce this line of code? Yes. For that we can use a topic, or I should say a concept, that is called as short circuiting in JavaScript. See, instead of writing like this ternary, what we could do is we could have used double pipe here. We can tell this this as OR operator. This says OR operator. So what this will do is it will check if this exists. If not, then it will check if this exists. So whichever exists, it will return and it will get printed. So this is a kind of like OR operator. Okay. So right now this username doesn't exist. Okay. So this user will get returned. So this condition is becoming false. So this user will get returned. Okay. Let's save this and user is getting shown here. But let's say if I try to write something here and now this comes under a truthy value. Okay, this is no longer a falsy value, it's a truthy value. So this becomes true. So once it becomes true, it will not check for this because it's OR, right? This first operand here, this itself here is making this true. So this, if it becomes true, then this will be returned and it will be logged in the console. Okay, so here you can see that this is getting logged. Yeah, so this is about the short circuiting. Similarly, we can, instead of using this pipe operator, we could use double AND. Okay, now what will this do is, let's say if I, let's say if I create a variable, let's say email verified. Okay, and I will give it, let's say false. Okay, and yeah, and let's say I'll create one more variable mesh inside quotes. Okay, so this is a boolean value and this is a string value. Now in result, what I will write here, if email verified is true, okay, see how to read this. If email verified is true, then return the name, else return false. Okay, so now what will happen is email, if it is true, okay, if it is true, but it's false right now, it's false. If this is false, then JavaScript will do not check for this thing because both should be true. If here this first statement itself is becoming false, then this will not get executed. So this is getting false. So this first statement itself is getting false. So this false will be returned to this result and we are logging it. So in the console, we should be able to see false. But now let's say if we make it to true, and now in the console, Ramesh is getting logged. So see what happens is this is true, right? This is true. And this is a truthy value. So this is getting returned. I know this might be, confusing you, but trust me, we'll be using this quite a lot in React and React Native. So that's why we have to first learn this boring stuff first before going to that good stuff. Okay. Yeah. And here one more thing that we can add is, yeah, I forgot to add it. False. False is also a falsy value. If I can spell it, false. Okay, so these are the falsy values, and remaining apart from these things, rest everything is truthy value. So I think that's it for the JavaScript part. I will not dive deep into it. That's all you need for now. So rest everything we will cover it when we will explain about React and React Native. Rest of the things we will cover at that point of time. So over to you, Dishant.
Yes, thank you. Hope basics of JavaScript are covered. So now I will be starting with basics of React. So let me. Is my screen visible?
Yeah, before you start, anyone has any questions?
Yes,
You can ask us, right? Yeah.
yes, you can ask in the chat also, and you can unmute anytime.
Yeah, if we are going too fast, then you can say
Yeah.
that. Yeah, you can highlight that also. See,
Yes, so
take advantage of this session. You can ask your doubts at any point of time. Don't make this a one-way communication. Okay, so do leverage this opportunity if you have got this. Okay, continue. You can, Dishant. You can
yes,
continue.
yes. So now we will be starting with basics of React. React Native runs on React, which is very useful, and there are four concepts mainly in React: components, JSX, props, and state. So we will start with the components, and there are two types of components. Before React Native 0.59, there was only a class approach. So now, after React hooks were introduced, there is a function component approach also. So I will tell you first how was the class component approach earlier. So this is a Expo compiler. Since we don't have time, or we would install React Native and everything, that takes a lot of time. So we will you can simultaneously do this in the just type snack expo dev on Google. So
Yeah,
in
so you can run your React Native on the browser right now only. You can type just expo snack
yes, along with
and you can follow whatever Dishant is doing. Okay, you do not have to install anything.
so here this is the import command. We have to for every time we write a code, this is the default. We have to import React and anything we are using from the React library like this here. And this would be in the in the marks, and then you have to import anything you are using from the I will be using text component from React Native. So now we will be using it from React Native library. There's a difference between React Native and React, so you have to understand this. So now we will start creating the class. So you have, for creating the class, write class Dishant, name the class extends component, extends component, and C should be capital here because the class you should be knowing the naming system and everything here, camel case and everything. So now in the class, you have to make a render method. Every time you use a class, you have to render something and you have to return it in the render. So you have to render this like this and then return it. So now I will be returning a simple text component. So you have this. This is you have to create a text field here and write hi. I am Dishan. And then you have to close every opening tag.
So you imported text as T is small.
Yes, yes, sorry.
On
And you
the
have to return it here.
T should be capital while importing. You have written T is small.
What?
On line number 2. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, yes.
So components starts with a capital letter. First letter should be capital. So we
So
have some pre-built components like text, and here we are creating our custom component called as Dishant. So here D is capital if you can notice here. Yeah,
okay,
continue.
so what's the error here? You have to return it. Here additional. Okay, so this is how you and you can run it here. You can connect your device also, but now we are not connecting, so we will use here. This is how whenever you load an app, this will be the process. So there's a error here. No default export of app.js in render. What's this? Okay, so this is the only just that syntax. I've not given any code. So this is how you define a class. Now we will learn it how to create a function from a class. So now since class are not used nowadays, you have to create a same function we will be creating. So constant, the name of the function should be same as the class. Now you have to, like sir told, you have to create a constant here like this. So now we have to. There is no render in the class in the function approach. So this is the advantage of the class approach. Now this will be same here, and then just close it. So now we have created, and always you have to import it, export it. Sorry. So after everything, you have to export it. So export default and your function name. So this should be Dishan.
Yeah, but
So
here We should have app also. The app is a root
Yes,
component that
yes,
we that
because
is
the
meant
name
to
of
use.
the file is app. So let's take it as app. You have to see that the name matches. Export default app. Sorry. Okay, so now it should run.
You can preview this in a web also, right? That is faster.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So we can use React Native to create apps for Android, iOS, for web also.
Web also.
But this web is not recommended because it's little buggy. So yeah, but we have an option. If your application is small, so with the single code base, you can create app for iOS, Android, and for web also.
I don't know why it's taking so much time. Okay. You have to wait somewhere. So till that, I will introduce JSX. So JSX basically, JSX is similar to JavaScript. Like you can use this is JSX. So you are using JavaScript in the every time you want to use anything in JavaScript, you have to just enclose it with the curly brackets. So the compiler will know that the admin is using JavaScript. So it will be supported by React Native. So now after this runs, I will show you the JSX syntax and everything. Okay, so it's loading. Yes, there are no errors. So hi, I'm Dishant here. So this is how you created a class from a function. You created a function from a class. So now we will start with custom components. So this should be the same, and you can import like text input, view from React Native. So now just you can render it, like you can enclose it with the view tag and then nest it with the other tags. So because the return function will return only one thing, so you have to enclose it everything in the view. So just like this view, now we can give a text input, and we in the text input tag we can give a style to it. So style, we can give it. This is how you give us. This is how you give a style. So you can give height, take it 20. Then you can give a border color. Border color you can give it, take blue, and take the border with this everything. This here should be camel case. Like the first letter should be small, and then the second part of the thing should be capital. This is called name, camel case name convention. So that's very important. This is how you give a border width, and here there should be a comma. Okay, so we have given a text input also here. So now, okay, so we can give here a default value. So default value should be valuation. Since we haven't created the state, so it should be default value name. So this should be the closing bracket. Okay. And now we have to always remember to close the view. Okay, so it's ready here. See, I am Dishant and name text input. Now you can type anything here. See, this is how you create, you use components in custom components in React. Now you can also use multiple components here. So we can take like in the view itself, we can take cat cat or anything, and then we can, like, see, I will show you cat tag, and then we can create something, a constant function here, cat, and then import it. So here it will be visible. Now, since components, now we will start with props. So props is short form of properties. Like there can be many properties of the cat, like it is very cute or anything. So you can give multiple props here. Like you can give cat name is equal to this, etc. Also, you can give a image here. So let us give a random image here in the view. So for giving the image, you have to use the image tag here. Then we have to give a source to it. Oh, sorry. Oh. This would be the URI. So now give the link of give the address of the image. So like we can give the image stored in the React Native docs itself. So it would be reactnative.dev, because this is the website. And then you have to go to docs. Then everything, every photos or everything is in the assets folder of your project. So assets, and then you can like there's one cat.png. So this and you can always give a style to it. I'm not giving a style right now, and then you have to close it. So every time you want to see your URI, you can always control and click here. So you can see if there's a image here or not. So this is wrong actually. You have something, I have missed it. Wait. Sorry. Image source. Acha, okay, sorry. Double. And now you have to close the image. I've closed it here. What's the error here? Acha, okay, I have not imported it. Okay, sorry. You have to import everything you use here. Okay. So if there would be image here, it would be shown here. I don't know why there's no image. Okay, one minute. I guess the link is wrong. 1 minute. I have not given. For every image you have to give a style, or it won't be displayed, or what? Give a style, and you have to always give a width and height of your image. So give a random height, width and height. So give it like 200 and height as 200, 300. Okay. So if there would be an image, I don't know why the image is not loading. I guess the URL is wrong. So you have to just write the proper URL, and your image will be displayed here. Okay. So now we are we finish with the props. Now we will come to the most important part, state. So in React Native, state is very important, and the difference between state and a props is like state is mutable. You can change a state while props are immutable. So now we will create some states, and we will use some hooks approach and everything. Okay, so let's start. Okay. You can export it here itself while declaring it. So export default function. And now here you have to create the hook. So here we are creating a hook. So this is this is how you create a hook. So this will be the getter, and then you have to set it. Getter is the initial a value, and this will be the value after we change it. So you have to use state, and first you have to import it from React. So now we are not using component, so use state from the React. This is state from React. So now you can give any name here. The initialize any name. So let's take it RAIT. So this will be the initial name, and now we can create a function which will, with on clicking, will change the name. So we can name it click handler or anything, which we will use in the return function. And this is how you create a constant, like is equal to and then an arrow. So now you will set the name, like the initial value is, we already have the initial value, so now set it. So set it to some other name, like RAIT is a college. Okay, so now you have to just return it. So return it here. You have to close it. Now return the function. You have to always use a view here. And this is how you give a styles containers. So styles dot container, and then you have to give the style to the spreadsheet or anything you wish to. So we will be giving the styles later. So now we can use it as my name is, and then since the a variable was created here, we have to use it as a JavaScript. So we have to write here name. So the value here RAIT will be stored here, and then close the tag. And now you can create a button so that we can change the view of it. So you can give a view style. We will give it after. We can take the default value also. So view. You have, this is how you create a button. So button, and you can give any title to your button. So you can take update it to X. And now you have to give it a on press. On press is very important. So on pressing the function, your on click generator on click will be generated here. So on click handler, like we gave it handler here, and now close the view. That's it. And now you can give give any style if you want. So this is how you give a style to your style sheet on styles, and this should be always at the end of the program style sheet, and this should be in every page, because you have to design it properly. Your front end should be strong. This is a method to give design, and now we can give it as a container. So container is the main page where you see the outputs. This is how you give it, and you can give a flex. So flex is like if you give two flex, the screen will be divided it into two parts. We are giving it a flex of 1, so it will use the entire screen. Now you can give a background color. So background color will be let's take it anything. Have to give any color here, and then you can align the items here. So align items it like you want the all the content and items in the center. So align it as a center. Okay, so this is it, and wait, what's the error here? Styles dot container, no?
Style equal to on line number 12. Style equal to you forgot it.
Acha, okay, sorry.
And background में G is capital. Oh, you have to
Ah,
make it.
okay, sorry.
And align items. Spelling is incorrect.
Okay, so I guess all the errors are replaced. So now let's try it.
Run it on web, na? It will
Ah,
be
yeah.
faster.
Acha.
There is one more error I see. V is small, I guess, in view.
Where?
Line number 12.
Oh yes.
Line number 12, V should be capital, I guess.
Line number 12 is capital, no?
Is it's capital? Okay.
Yes.
So,
Why there's a error here? Acha, I have not
yeah,
closed the
you
button.
have to self-close it.
I don't know why web is taking so long. This is faster, I guess. So this is how you create a hook here. What's the error here? Container is,
Container equal to.
oh sorry. No, container should be like this only, no?
Yeah, it will be like this only.
I guess there's no.
Comma. After background color, comma is missing.
Acha, okay. So these are some errors which happen every time because of the very. Now what's the error? You can see the error here. You have. I think I have not closed it. I've closed it. What's the error here? Expected to close it here. Okay, sir. Can you see the error here?
No. Uh,
Okay, let us use the docs only. Yeah, native docs. Okay, so I can explain it from here also. Huh. So this is the docs of React Native. You can anything you can try it here. Let's take it here. So this is how you create it. Okay, let's wait. So this is all with the basics of React. Now after this is run, Mukesh sir will show us how to install the Expo CLI of React Native, because there are two types of CLIs, Expo and React Native CLI. So React Native, see here, if we click here, I am Munku's trap, I am hungry. So this will be the state of the this is change. Say if this is state, this is changing of state and using states. So now I would request Kesar to take over the installation part.
okay, so I'll share my screen. Can you share your link expo? Let's figure out what was the error first.
Yes, yes. Wait.
Put it in chat.
Yes. I guess I have not imported style sheet or what. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
yes,
yes, yes.
correct.
Right, right. I forgot to import Skype.
Uh,
Also, I got the there's no two view tags, so we remove the view tag between text and button. Yes, remove it.
yeah, so first, yeah,
Yeah.
uh, wait. Button also you have not imported, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, see this, it's coming.
So now it will be updated.
Yeah, so before jumping into installation, it will be quick. Let's understand few more examples, okay, before going into React Native. See, I want before moving into React Native, I want you guys to understand each and every line of code. Okay, so first of all, someone asked this doubt, what is difference in this arrow notation and this normal parenthesis. Okay, I'll explain it. uh, See, this is a function. I told you, right, we can create function in two ways. We can write like this, or we could use an arrow function as well. So this is a functional component. When we are returning this, we add these parentheses. Why we do that? Because we are returning multiple lines. So that's why we add here parentheses. Let's say if I want to return just a text, I can uh, write simply this way. Okay, but if I want to return multiple lines, okay, then I will add here parentheses. So it's always recommended to add here parentheses if you are writing multiple lines. Okay, so what we return from here, we call it as JSX. So JSX is little difficult to understand initially, but once you understand it, it's an awesome thing to work with. So what is JSX? First of all, so JSX is basically a mixture of our components and JavaScript. For example, okay, I will show you whatever concepts which I explained you in JavaScript. I can put it here, and I can explain you a little bit about them. So mm, yeah. So we are returning just text component. First, let's understand before going into uh, JSX. First, understand more about components. Okay, let me create a component. Let's say profile. Okay, so this is component is a normal function. Okay, and we can return, let's say, text. So text is basically when when we want to output any text, we can use this text component. And we have one more component called as view. So view is basically a kind of a div tag, as we have a div tag in HTML. So we can consider this view to create a sections. Okay, so let's say I'll write here profile. I can zoom it a little bit. Yeah, and now here I can use this component instead of returning text. So see, this text was inbuilt component from React Native. This profile is the custom component. So let's say now here I can use this component like so, and I can self close it just like an HTML tag. Am I missing something? Okay, profile. See, we can pass a proxy, and once we create a component, we can reuse it multiple times. Okay, so I can duplicate this line of code, and we can reuse it. Yeah, reuse it. But here we are returning 3 line of code, or I should say 3 component. This is not allowed. The rule of JSX says that we should always return a 1 component in the root level. That's why we add here view, and we put all these things inside view like so. Okay, this is one thing, or I guess we can put this empty tags. We call this as React fragment. This is also we can use. Okay, so we can either use view or we can use empty text. Yeah, so but now you see that profile is getting printed 3 times, so we are reusing it, but this is senseless, right? This content should be at least dynamic, right? So let's pass props to this. So Dishant explained you about the props, so we can pass it. Let's say I can pass it a prop here. Let's say Ramesh, or let's say then Ramesh. Okay, and let's say status. Okay. So these two props I have passed to this component. Okay, so here I have to create a placeholder. I can name it as props, and I can here output. Okay, I can here output, let's say props dot name Ramesh. And let's say we are now, these two components are not getting output, right? We cannot see anything here on the right side. So let's say if this prop, this name is not available. Okay, in that case we can, you know, use this or that we learned, and let's say we can output here, let's say user, maybe. Now here you can see this pipe was, we can use it here. So this is JSX, right? So JSX is basically a mixture of our component and JavaScript. So this is JavaScript, right? Okay. Let me put here parentheses and let me add multiple lines. First of all, I'll create a view. And I will put it here. And why I edit view? Because I want to return multiple text components. So, but we cannot return multiple components. We can return only one component on the root level. That's why I wrapped everything inside a view. And let's say here. So we can see now this name and status. Okay, and let's say here in these two components, let's pass some props to these two components as well. Maybe, you know, let's remove this name and pass one more status will be, let's say, guess it, coder. Okay, and now you can see we created a profile component, and we are reusing it 2 times. So that's the advantage of component. We can reuse it, and that content here you can see it is dynamic. So that's the advantage of prop. Using prop, we can make content dynamic. So we have created a component 1 time, and we are reusing it 2 times. Okay, so some more examples on JSX. Okay, see. So let's say I will create here const maybe a user, and let's say I will give it a name of Ramesh. Okay, and or you know, instead of creating it here, I can create here only. And one more thing, like we can use component this way, or what we could do is we could also use this way. So see, whenever we want to inject a JavaScript code, we use these brackets, and inside this bracket we can inject our JavaScript code. For example, this is a function, right? This is a function. We can call it like a regular function also, like this. See, profile and brackets. Yeah, but if we do it, then we have to pass props. So let me comment this and write just text. Not read property name. Where is name? Test. Okay, so technically we can do this, but it's not recommended to, you know, use component like this. So we can use it like a HTML tag. This is the recommended way. Yeah. So let's say if I create a constant, let's say maybe user, and let's say user will be, or let's say, yeah, user and Ramesh. And here we can output something conditionally. Let's say if this user exists, then only I want to show it on the screen. How could I do it? Okay, again I can here use JavaScript to inject JavaScript. So that this is the JSX, right? This is the power of JSX. You can inject JavaScript in between your components. So if let's say user exists, right? In that case, we will return, but we will not return it like this. Okay, a normal string. We cannot do this. We have to wrap this inside text component because we are outputting that text, so we should wrap it in a text component. And else we can, let's say, return text and let's say user. So here, yeah, so here this is hard coded, so we cannot hard code it this way. We have to add this brackets here, and since we want to inject JavaScript, so we will write here user. So now this will be treated as a variable instead of a normal string. So this user is a variable, and yeah, this is a normal string. So since user exists, that's why we can see this Ramesh is getting shown here. So this was all about JavaScript, about JSX. So it's little complex to understand initially, but once you will work with it, in upcoming sessions, then you will understand it more better. Okay, so anyone has any questions in this JSX part or any of the topic before I move to installation? Okay, so I'm finding out where is the getting started. Yeah, setting up the development environment. So see, we have two ways of setting up our React Native in our computer or on our machine. So one is this Expo, and another one is React Native CLI. So I'll tell you what is difference in both. Okay, so see, first of all, one good thing that we saw is that we can right away use this Expo snack to run our React Native code in browser. So it's a good when you want to test few of the things, then you can write directly your code here and you can view the output. Expo snack is great. Okay, so this snack is basically this feature, this online React Native compiler is created by the Expo team itself only. So yeah. So what is difference between both? Okay, first before moving to difference, let's install it. Okay, meanwhile then we can understand difference also. So before installing it, okay, here see we will be using Expo in our sessions. So we will be here to install it. We are using npm. So basically npm is a package manager. So we have to install Node.js first in our system. So if you do not have Node.js installed, then you can go to this site and install it. Okay, install this 16 version. It's recommended. Again, next, I agree, install. Again, it's an easy process. And for the text editor, we will be using VS Code. So you can Google this and install it. Again, download, next, I agree, install. Okay, once you do these two things, you can try it out after the session. You can try installing it after the session, and if you have any doubts, you can ask that in tomorrow. Okay, so once you will do that, then you can copy this command. So here we want to install this Expo CLI globally. So I'll copy this, and you can open your terminal. That is command prompt, and yeah, here you can put this command and hit enter. So if you have installed Node.js, then this command will run successfully, as it will show an error that npm is not recognized or something like that. Yeah, so it will take a while. So meanwhile, we can understand the difference. So what is difference in Expo and CLI? See, right now we want to get started with React Native. See, okay, so Expo basically makes the development process smoother, smoother. Development as well as learning process. Okay, and why I'm saying this, because you will come to know about this tomorrow when we will be building our actual applications. We will be learning more about that React Native. So why I'm saying this, it makes development process smoother because you do not have to install Android Studio, or you do not have to set up your virtual device and all that heavy stuff. Abstract that all the process. So directly what you can do is you can scan QR code and boom, your app will start running in your real device. Okay, I'll walk you through with that process. Don't worry about that. So that process is harder in CLI, or I should say dev process is not that smooth. If we try to install Android Studio in this session, it may take 1 or 2 hours because it's a long process. We have to set up virtual device and all that thing, that it will take a little while. Okay, so it's good that we should go with Expo because we do not require Android Studio, virtual device, or all that stuff. We abstract that all the stuff for us. Okay, so this was the first difference, and second difference, maybe we can write it. Uh, Android Studio, or if you are on Mac, or if you want to develop app for iOS, Xcode is used for that. So you do not require these two in Expo. In CLI, it's mandatory to have this Android Studio if you want to develop an iOS app, iOS or Android app. Okay, so that's the difference. And see, React Native, the team of at Facebook who developed this React Native, they were very lazy. What they did is they created only few components. Okay, here you can see we have only few components, and what they did is they gave us only this much, and we have to depend on third-party libraries for the more components. So the team at Expo take care of rest of the component. For example, to add a navigation or to access camera or image gallery, we do not have these components, right? We do not have the component for do this simple thing to access this camera, to access image gallery. We do not have component in core React Native. So we have to get dependent on third-party library for that. So Expo takes care of that. If you will go to Expo documentation, you will see there are so many components that the Expo team is building. Right. Yeah, API reference. Here you can see in Expo SDK, we can see we have so many components that Expo is giving. These components, see this camera and so many components, this Expo is providing us, not React Native. So if you will use React Native, you have to get dependent on third-party libraries if you use React Native CLI. And if you use Expo, some of the component Expo provides you out of the box, so your efforts will be reduced. Okay, so yeah. So where was our difference? Yeah, so here we can write. And what else? Dev process is smoother, and I guess these are the only difference, primarily main differences. And yeah, dev process smoother, and X provides more components. Yeah, so let's see if it is installed or not. CLI, okay, it's taking a while, I guess. Sorry for my bad internet. So till the time it is happening, there are some of the limitations to Expo as well. So what Expo does is, okay, what Expo does under the hood. So Expo doesn't provide access to the native code. What is native code? Native code in case of Android, a native code is Java, Kotlin, or in case of iOS, that is Swift. So Expo does not provide access to the native code. Okay, and in CLI, we have access to the native code as well. Now, why this native code matters? So, sometime, let's say if you want to install a specific library, okay, and that library requires some tweaks or some change in native code, then that library you cannot install it in Expo, because Expo doesn't provide you access to the native code. So that's the limitation also. But for this session, we will not be using any such type of library that requires any change in native code. Okay, so for small projects, Expo is great. For learning, Expo is great. To get started with React Native, Expo is great because it will, make the development process smoother. And CLI, once you are familiar with Expo, once you are comfortable with React Native, then you can jump into CLI as well. So there is no change in code. Okay, there is no change in logical part. The code will remain same in the both. Obviously, some of the import statements will change. Some of the things we will import from Expo, or in case of React Native, we will import some of the things from different third-party libraries. So import statement, or there will be slight change in the code part, but it will be almost same. Okay, so these were the few differences between Expo and CLI. Okay, so I think my CLI has installed. So now what I can do is, where was the, yeah, then once it is installed, then I can create a new project. So what I would suggest is try to do simultaneously as I am doing, or you could do this after the session also. Okay, so I can copy this, so we can type Expo in it. Hope my terminal is visible. I can zoom it a little bit. Expo in it, and the name of the project. Let's give it a name of, let's say, no. First navigate. Let's navigate to a directory where we want to create a project. Okay, so let me open a directory, and here I can open a terminal. Okay, so this is a shortcut to open terminal. So you can type CMD here in the top to open a terminal in this directory. So I want to create a project inside this directory. So here I can type Expo init and the name of the project, let's say contact app, let's say, enter. So it will take a while, and we will select here blank. So installation is very straightforward in Expo, in case of Expo. Till the time it's installing, do you guys have any doubts so far regarding anything? Any of the topics
anyone
simultaneously
sharing can screen, like if you have doubt, you can share your screen also.
So let's say when you want to build your application, you may have one question in your mind that, let's say if you use Expo, how we will build our APK. Okay, so what Expo will does is Expo will use their servers. Okay, so your app will not get builded in your machine. Okay, Expo will use their servers and they will create APK for you. So that's why Android Studio or Xcode, you do not have to install it in your machine. Expo will take care of that. In CLI, yeah, your APK will be built on your machine. That's why Android Studio is required here. So technically, you can build iOS app as well if you are using Expo on Windows machine, because Expo will use their servers. That's also an advantage here. So to build iOS app, you need a Mac machine, right? So, but if you are using Expo, again, you can build that as well. But for testing it, you may have to use your real device for testing it. Okay. Yeah, so it's done. So our project is created. Now we can navigate into it. So I can type cd contact app. Okay, and let me open it in a VS Code. So once you will install VS Code, which is a text editor, you can type code dot. Dot means the current directory, which is contact app. I will enter. I'll press enter and open this VS Code inside this directory. Okay, here we go. So we have few files. Uh, so this is the app.js files. So you guys are familiar with that. We saw this file in Expo Snack, which was an online text editor. So we will go through the code in next session. And we have package.json file. This file basically contains all the dependencies and some of the script to run our project. And then we have app.json. This file basically contains some metadata regarding our project. So it has basically some details of our project. For example, the name of our project, what version it has, what image our application is going to have. So right now this will be using the default images. These are Expo images, but you can replace it with your images and you can edit your path to change the icon of the app or to change the splash screen as well. Where is the splash screen? Yeah, this is the splash screen. You can put your image and that will come as a splash screen in your app. Okay, so this has some metadata. This app.json has some metadata. And yeah, this node module basically has all the dependencies which are mentioned here. So these dependencies are inside this node modules folder. And yeah, so we do not have to touch most of the files. Only main file that we have to worry about are these two files. Okay, app.json. Here we will be adding some of the information about our app. Let's say when we will build our application, then we may add it, some of the information, and mostly we can write our code inside this app.js. Okay, and we will be creating few more components, okay, in upcoming videos. Yeah, so app.js is the root component, we can call it as. Yeah, so now we have to run this application. Okay, how we can run it application? See, we have couple of script here. In if you open package.json, we have couple of scripts. So first of all, we can type start to start the development server. We can type npm run android or expo start -- android to start our application in Android device. Same for iOS, same for web. Okay, so let's say I will for now I will type npm start. So this is the default script to start the development server. Okay, I will type that this only. Okay, let's see what happens. So it will give us a QR code. Okay, that's what I am expecting. And also let's copy this, and our development server has started on this URL. So I would open this here. Now if you can notice here, we have couple of options here. First of all, we have QR code here as well as here as well we can see the QR code. Okay, and this is basically a GUI version of our terminal, right? So here we have couple of options: run on Android emulator, run on iOS, run in web browser. Okay, that's great. One thing, once this is done, what you have to do is now you have to On your mobile device, you have to open Play Store or any app store. If you have Android, then you will open apps Play Store, and from the Play Store you have to search an app called Expo. Okay, this one, and you have to install it. If you once you install it, you will get option to scan this QR code. Okay, once you will scan it, your app will start running on your device. Yes, that's the advantage of Expo. You do not have to connect your device with USB cable or anything like that. You just have to scan this QR code, and boom, your app will start running on your real device. Okay, you do not have to install Android Studio. You do not have to set up virtual device. Just install this app from app stores and scan this QR code. Okay, try it right now or maybe after this session, and let us know the result tomorrow if you are getting any error or anything. One thing that you have to make sure is your app and your machine, they should be connected to a same network. That means if you are using Wi-Fi, then your laptop and your phone should be connected to a same Wi-Fi, because that's what the connection LAN means. Okay, if they are not on the same network, then you can use this tunnel option, but I would recommend choose this LAN, and your desktop and your mobile phone should be on the same network. Okay, but I will not use this because I will not use my real device. I have already installed Android Studio because I want to share my screen and I want to teach you guys, so I need a virtual device. Okay, so yeah, I have already Android Studio installed, so I can open it and I can run it on a virtual device. So if you guys have Android Studio installed, virtual device setup, that's a good thing, but that's not a blocker. Okay, that's not a blocker. We can work without that as well. So if you have a low end machine, then also Expo is a great choice. So meanwhile, what you can do is you can install Expo and you can scan this QR code and you can start running it. Okay, and you can let us know if you got success or not. Dishant, you want to add something to this?
If you are on hotspot, I can show them lab emulators and everything. If your net is less.
Or you can show them on your device. Is your
Yes,
everything
yes,
ready?
yes, yes.
Mm, you can do that as well. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, so just we have to open it. Let's see. I guess it's opening. Yeah, you can do the. No, it's wait. Uh, it's taking a while. Yeah, you can do. You can share your screen and uh, show them.
Okay, fine.
But it's almost done. Okay, but you can do that. Yeah, I'll stop
Achha, you
sharing.
are doing? Okay, okay, I will stop
No,
it.
no, you do it. You do it.
Achha.
You have everything open, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, then go ahead.
So this is Android Studio, and I since I have auto launch, so everything is installed in myself. Just I have to just type npm run Android here. So this I will show you how everything is launched, and a Metro bundler is also launched. It will take just 30 to 1 minute max. So also till that you can see all your you can manage everything here too. See, this is my virtual device, my AVD. This will be launched since automatically because I've set up like that, and then see how my app looks it.
So when we run it for the first time, it will take a while.
Yes, but I did it 2 minutes ago only.
Okay.
Uh, This is the okay. I will show you. This is the Metro bundler, and see, this is my AVD. This is how everything is launched, and this is the project I'm working right now. So this is not launched, but this is only the project. Okay, so this is the project. You can. This is the normal. This is like just like a phone, and all the apps you have tried or will be shown here. So this is how Android emulator works. Is there anything I have to show more?
No, it's fine. They can try and they can ask
Yes,
doubts.
you can. If
Yeah.
there are any doubts, you can ask.
We took too long to cover this, right?
Yes,
It's
yes.
8 p.m. around.
Okay, so they have provided the links in the group. Good. Okay, so you guys have any doubts, or we can wrap it up? Yes, I guess no doubts are there right now.
So
Okay.
yeah, we'll wrap up the session. I would like to thank Mr. Dishant Jhaveri and Mr. Mukesh Pulwani for imparting the knowledge of JS and React to all the students. I would like to extend my gratitude towards the Principal of RAIT, Dr. Mukesh Patil Sir, HOD of IT Department, Dr. Ashish Yadav Sir. Thank you, dear participants, for joining us today. We will meet again tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Please complete the quiz for day 1 for attendance. Link is pasted in the chat box. Until then, keep learning, keep revising, keep coding. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.